Hi, welcome. This is a follow-up video to the racket review we did of the new Yonex PERCEPT.
This is Luke Simkiss. He was #1 in America in the colleges in the NAIA, and currently 846 in the world.
Luke currently uses the VCORE Pro D, strongest Solinco Outlast at 53 pounds.
He's only been on tour a few months, and he's only recently switched to Yonex and the VCORE Pro.
Yeah, I mean, well, as soon as I switched to this racket, I got all my ATP points, which is in the space of about 6 weeks. So it's been a godsend for me.
When we switched to it, he was using the blade. He was just lacking a bit of control. Some balls were flying everywhere, and I just happened to have a demo in my bag. I let him use it. And instantly you just saw a bit more control, a bit lower ball flight, a bit more penetrating ball flight, and just a bit more accuracy, and a bit more consistency.
Yeah.
So he took that away, played around with it, put his strings in it, Solinco Outlast, and then it hasn't really changed. And ever since then, you've just got better and better.
Yeah.
It's not completely down to the racket, but as everyone knows, if you're looking down at a racket, it gives you confidence. And you're not having to worry about where the ball's going to go, and you can literally just concentrate on relaxing and hitting the stroke, which is what the old one does. Then it takes away part of the mental side of the game.
It was definitely, for me, it was definitely like a 30% upgrade on my tennis game just by switching rackets. It gave me more on the back end and more point and shoot style of tennis.
I still use the VCORE Pro 97 regular one with Polytour Spin in the mains and Polytour Pro in the crosses. So we were just hitting the new Percepts today, trying to figure out what makes them different, what makes them better compared to the old ones. We're not comparing it to any other racket per se, as I know some people in the last comments were talking about. How does this compare to a Babolat? How does this compare to so-and-so? So this is purely a racket review based on how we've hit this one compared to the older models. And we also have the older one before the VCORE Pro, because some people in the comments were asking how it compares to that, because some people still found that their favorite racket. So the new bits of the Percept racket that we need to talk about, the servo filter is an additional vibration dampening film in the racket. It is developed by Mitsubishi, so it's got a lot of backing behind, a lot of technology has gone into making this new technology in the racket. It will reduce vibrations and allow a bit more flexibility in the throat of the racket. So this works with the two existing NAM speed and flex force techs that's in the old one. This is going to improve the dwell timing of the ball and also a bit of ball pocketing. The racket will flex more in the throat here, and it will be a bit stiffer up top in the hoop. So they've added more graphite up here, so it'll be a little bit denser and a little bit probably thicker and a bit crisper feel. That's what I found as well when I was hitting it, so a little bit stiffer, which again I like. I preferred it really to the old one.
First of all, I like the paint job a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's upgraded from the old one. The old one looks good, but this looks even better, I think, which I'm happy about. It's a point and shoot racket like the old one, so you know it goes to the target as you would like. A lot of rackets these days don't, so that's where Yonex are fantastic, is their quality, and the control of that quality is top.
It's quite a low launching racket, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So compared to, say, other ones in the Yonex lineup, the VCORE would launch higher, but to add more spin so you get more height over the net. The E-Zone is definitely more powerful, but this one compared to the the old model, last year's model, I think it's definitely a bit more powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I found it at the net as well, it's a bit more stable.
Yeah.
Same as on returns. When you're hitting a return, I played a doubles match with it as well. And when the ball was coming in pretty hard, then I was actually making more returns.
Yeah.
You're making more returns. The backhand was a bit more solid on the return, so that's a huge thing. Because I mean, for me, it's definitely fixed a slight issue that we had with the old one. How do you feel from the 2 models ago, you've had a hit with that? Because that was your first time you've really hit with that.
Yeah, I'd never hit
you moved
with
from
it
the
before.
blade. So the original HD, so you've got this one here, which is the first model that they brought out, which was a 97 1820 at 320 grams. They hadn't done this before, so this was the first one, and this was a pretty flexible racket, and it was the first time that Yonex, I think, had put an 1820 into the VCORE Pro lineup, and it actually went down really well. Thinner beam back then, so if people want to compare between the rackets, this one's slightly thicker, which does again help with a bit more stability.
This is definitely the worst of the three. And, well, for me at least. A lot of players probably love this racket, but for my style of tennis, I'd say this is more of a two-handers racket.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, you know, well, these two are 100% more for, well, the D at least is more of a one-handers racket in my opinion.
And we're both one-handers.
And we're both one-handers. I mean, I enjoyed it. I've never used any other string except Solinko really, and I enjoyed it. So,
what was your favourite shot with it?
With this?
Yeah.
The forehand.
Forehand, yeah.
Always is.
Always the forehand.
Always the forehand. That's never going to change.
No. And I don't seem to think, you definitely didn't lose anything moving to the new racket. You just, if anything, you got more depth on the ball.
Yeah, I'd say definitely a little bit more easy depth. I don't like the word easy actually. Easy's, I'd say there's definitely more depth naturally. I'd say it's a little whippier than the old one.
Which is good. One of the comments in the last video said that it's designed for really advanced players and no one can use it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that this has got enough technology in it to help players. If you're consistently hitting the middle, really depending on your technique, if you're all over the place, then you should probably obviously use a bigger headed racket and use something a bit easier and a bit lighter. But if you're consistently hitting the middle, you're going to get enough out of it, no matter what level you are. I don't think it's designed just for advanced players.
But like on that, just want to add, if you're a slightly less advanced player, I think you go with the 97 straight out because...
Or the 100.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't go for the D because it's an 18-20 string pattern, which isn't going to give you much, like compared to a 16-19. Yeah. So unless you're, you know, you like the 18-20, which a lot of people do, especially with a one-hander. I would go for the 16-19 if you're looking for a little bit more on the ball and a little more spin and pop. I'd go for the 16-19. But if you're like me, one-handed and you like more control, I'd go for the 97D.
What I would, just another point to make with about one-handed backhand is, with the 97-inch frame, if slightly off-center, because you've got the mass and it's quite compact, the racket's not going to turn in your hand. And because they've put more graphite up around, if you do slightly mishit it, it doesn't get the same sort of movement that you would get, say, with the older racket, which didn't quite have the graphite in there, which is why I started to mess around with a bit of tape up there, lead tape. But again, if you're two-handed, off-center's not as bad because you've got a bit more mass on the handle and a bit more stability on the handle with two hands. But I think if you're going to play one-handed, I think the 97 range would be the way forward. How do you find it on serve?
Serve was great.
Yeah. You hit big.
Yeah. And accurate. Like I said, or we constantly say about this range of rackets, whether it's a Percept or VCORE, it is point and shoot, and it's going to the target. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did.
Do you think when they're released, do you think you'll make the switch to it?
Yeah, it's just natural. It's not like a difficult decision really. No. This one is the obvious switch for me, and when it comes out, I'd love to get a few of them.
It does look good, doesn't it?
It does.
It does look really good.
Yeah.
It does look good.
I like the writing here. Yeah,
just little things like that. That's just that Yonex do so well. So I think in the future we're going to do some racket comparisons. We're going to do 8 racket challenges with them. We're going to do all sort of things and see what people come to the conclusion with. And I actually can't wait to get these strung up in what I use now, just to see if there is a difference, see if I might switch to the rev in it, because it does look pretty good in it. All right, guys, thanks for listening and watching. A lot of technical stuff in there. A lot of the new technology was talked about, a lot of personal opinions as well. So everything we've said is what we've experienced hitting the racket. I think it's a good review to have with someone and people who have played with the racket before from the previous generation. So that's a good insight there. We're looking forward to getting our hands on the other models, the 100. The 100D is very exciting, 18-19 string pattern, same as Djokovic uses, which is, a lot of people don't think knew that as 18-19. So we'll see how that goes as well. I'm looking forward to getting that my hands on that and putting that into some other play testers for a longer review. Leave comments down below on the video. I'll try and answer as much as I can if anyone has anything technical they want to ask. But yeah, I look forward to getting the rest of the lineup and then doing some videos on comparing them to other brands as well. So I know a lot of people out there want to not just look at Yonex, they want to look at everything in this sort of category of racket. See if people can move on to this, or maybe it's not for them, but we'll definitely do our best to compare and analyze for you. Thanks.